Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here at Trumpful Reads, and in this video, I'm going to be redoing a book video of Barons of the Sea and the Race to Build the World's Fastest Clipper Ship by Stephen Ujifusa. And I was sent this book by a marketing agency in November. I did a review on the website, and I did a book review video, but apparently I didn't upload it, and I have since deleted it because I'm a dimwit sometimes. So I definitely apologize for that. But yeah, like I said, I did receive this book for free in exchange for an honest review, which I always do anyways. But I just want to show you the cover first off. I just think the illustrations and, well, I actually think they're lithographs, if I remember correctly. I just think it's really aesthetically pleasing, just kind of the layout and design of the book, just really well done. But anyways, onto the book itself. What this book is basically about is the age of the clipper ships, which were a largely American innovation on sailing ship design in the mostly in the early 1800s, so the first third to half of the 19th century. Now, clipper ships, if you guys don't know, are sort of the iconic sailing ships with like tons of sails and stuff. Generally, their cargo hold was a little bit smaller, so they could be basically more hydrodynamic on the water. But basically, what they lacked in sort of carrying capacity, they made up for, as you could probably guess by the subtitle, with speed, and that was definitely their largest selling point. Now, some of the clipper ships, as the clipper ship age kind of like dragged on, became like supermassive cargo ships as well. But anyways, like I said, it was mostly designed for speed. Now, what these clipper ships allowed, or what these clipper ships did basically in the sort of, like I said, the mid, I don't know, 1820s, 1830s, 1840s, was allow a lot of American merchant family dynasties basically, and just sort of other United States companies basically be a lot more competitive on the world stage on a really like economy that was quickly becoming more globalized. What these ships did was allow for transport, for example, from New York to San Francisco in less than 3 months, which at the time was basically unheard of. And this is, for example, during the time of the gold rush in California, which obviously time is of the essence to capitalize on, like, tons of marketing and basically markups and stuff. But also, for example, from the west coast of the United States to China during sort of the opium trade and things like that, basically picking up really valuable small cargo, basically, on clipper ships in China, and basically be able to outcompete basically other countries in getting that cargo to market, essentially. For example, with tea, things like that. Now, what I really liked about this book is it was a really good blend of like having different people or different characters basically being the story, as well as the ships being characters in the story, and I'll get to that in just a second. The main, if you could call it protagonist, is Warren Delano II. And if Delano sounds familiar, it's because his Delano is where Franklin Delano Roosevelt gets his Delano from. I think it was his grandfather. It was either his grandfather or great grandfather. So it definitely shows how these basically family dynasties could really grow with the age of, or with the use of clipper ships. Well, I guess the age of clipper ships. But anyways, there are lots of prominent figures. We got like the Lowe's, the Delanos, the Forbes, things like that. A lot of the big names in basically the Gilded Age of America, like, have their like ancestry somewhere in like this clipper ship era, like a generation or two before. So I think that was actually like really interesting seeing how, because like at this time America was not like an economic superpower. At the time it was kind of on the rise, but it still was like way behind a lot of the other more well-established companies in, or more developed, or not more developed, but just longer established like trading companies. Obviously with like with Britain, France, like the Dutch, things like that. But we do have some really cool figures. Like I really like the adventurous sea captain Nathaniel Palmer. Basically, he was like a captain, an adventurer who probably first saw Antarctica on his own. So I think that's like really cool. And we have like little vignettes of like their personalities and their like swashbuckliness or whatever, what have you. And for example, one of the other characters I really enjoyed learning about that I had no idea about before was Don McKay, who was a Canadian American like ship designer, and basically his basically start from like basically nothing as basically an apprentice like carpenter type thing, all the way up to basically designing like the biggest clipper ships like ever made. Uh, During like his career basically, and then his fall from grace afterwards, after like kind of like some like really hard basically downturns and some bad fortune and things like that. So it was interesting seeing like different kind of personalities, because you have some that are kind of, you know, the back room wheeling and dealing kind of guys, you know, and just like the back smoke rooms and stuff, and then you have, like I said, like the fiery like Del McKays that are always just like trying to like sell themselves to like the high bidder, things like that. But what I most liked about this book definitely was the clipper ships themselves a lot of times become characters in their own right, which I thought was really interesting. Basically, when you learn about Flying Cloud, or you know, the burning of the Great Republic, things like that, you're like, you actually feel bad for the ships as they get like destroyed, and you're like cheering them on when they're, you know, racing around storms and like trying to, you know, meet deadlines and stuff. But for example, Flying Cloud was like the fastest sailing ship for a long time. Some of these clipper ships, like Flying Cloud, I think like Flying Cloud had the record from New York to San Francisco. It was the fastest sailing time ever for a sailing ship, until like like 20 years ago or something, with like a modern like sailing yacht or something like finally beat it and stuff. So I just think it was like really cool how these ships, like I said, they were designed to be super fast, and they were crewed to be super fast and stuff. Oh, and also, like I said, or actually I didn't say, I don't know why I said like I said, but there are some other vignettes which I kind of show kind of like the underside of a lot of the kind of the global economy at the time, especially with like international like sailing trade and stuff. Obviously, the opium wars is kind of taking place in the background, but also just sort of either basically the mistreatment or maltreatment of the crewmen under certain captains, basically to try and get the ship to go faster, with like floggings and just like really harsh conditions and stuff, and how, you know, how quite questionable the dark side of like capitalism could be during the 1800s. So, like I said, overall, I don't know why I keep saying like I said. As you can see, I'm getting like flustered because I've already done this review, so I feel it's like deja vu and stuff. But anyways, overall, I really enjoyed this book. I don't read a ton of American history, to be honest. But this one, like I said, because I do enjoy nautical history. I mean, albeit it's mostly like ancient, like kind of medieval nautical history. But I think that definitely helped a lot, and I really enjoyed how the clipper ships themselves essentially were like the main characters once you get halfway through the book. My only criticism, really, in dealing with the historical part of this book, is that the clipper ships don't even really start being like addressed fully or in any like substantial manner until about a third of the way through the book, which I thought was kind of weird. So it was basically just kind of like a really slow start, just kind of setting the context and stuff. And I didn't mind it quite as much this time because not like super familiar with, you know, early 1800s American history. It was a little bit much sometimes, but once the clipper ships take the forefront, I definitely enjoyed the book much more after that. And originally I haven't decided, it's gonna be either 4 stars or 4.5 stars, basically because these appendices are really well done, basically describing like the different like components of shipbuilding, and ship parts and stuff, and what made clipper ships like clipper ships. I just thought that was really cool, and that definitely helped out a lot. So I really enjoyed how they put in a ton of extra like little fine touches, and taking the time to fill in a bunch of appendices and the bibliography, stuff like that. I definitely appreciate that, and I'm really glad some publishers and authors still do that. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to give Barons of the Sea, I'll go 4.25 stars, because I haven't decided if it was 4 or 4.5. But yeah, if you enjoyed kind of like the Gilded Age of America, because I know that's kind of a popular like subgenre in American history, or if you like nautical history or just American history in general, definitely go check out Barons of the Sea by Stephen Ujifusa. It's just a really kind of enlightening story about ship design, like a ship design that was really integral to the growing economy of the United States in the 19th century. So yeah, just tell me what you guys think, if you've read this book. But anyways, whatever you decide to read, always remember, read victoriously.